Good afternoon, Tan, and welcome to Design Dialogues hosted by Fablis. This is your host, Bhavya, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Tan Sih Pin from S.Pin Architect from Malaysia. Just to give a brief introduction about your studio, S.Pin Architect is an award-winning multi-disciplinary architecture practice based in Malaysia. The firm is driven by a deep belief in architecture's power to shape not just the spaces, but the way we live, connect, and evolve as a society. With the holistic design philosophy that spans architecture, urban and landscape, and interior and product design, S.Pin Architect explores the dynamic relationships between the building, nature, culture, and economy. Their work reflects a thoughtful commitment to innovation and sustainability. At the heart of the practice is a passionate team that sees design as a tool for creating better environments and inspiring change. So thank you so much for joining us today, Tan.
Thank you for inviting me.
So before starting the questions, I would like to inform you that this interview will be published on the website of Publish. So sign up with the Publish website and you'll get the access to watch this interview. So shall we proceed with the questions?
Yes.
So S.Pin Architects champions the relationship between architecture, nature, social culture, and economy. How do you balance these sometimes conflicting forces in a fast-paced urban environments like Malaysia?
Well, I came from very nature-rich and culture-rich and also very diverse part of Malaysia, which is Kedah State and Penang State. But now I happen to be based in Kuala Lumpur, which is a very future-facing cities. In terms of these three subjects, nature, culture, and future, it become part and parcel, pretty much very close to my heart. And all these three subjects consideration in design, it become a natural basic consideration in our design process. We do not view them as individual contradicting factors. We do view them as a set of factors which complementing each other. You know, sometimes you go to the site, you encounter big potential of the site. Maybe the nature, maybe it's the cost, maybe it's the culture. And sometimes the big problem will be the culture and not the nature. So, or vice versa. So all these elements, all these factors can be mutually influence each other. So sometimes nature is a problem, but cost become a solution to that. So we don't view it as independent contradicting factors. All these items, all these subjects are complementing each other. I'll give you an example. We have a project which is called the Skywalker House. The site is on the 45-degree slopes. The cost of cutting the earth and building retaining wall will burst the budget actually. And also the green at the slope is too good for us to remove. So we have no choice. We have to opt for nature-friendly solutions and keep the slope intact, almost 90% of it, and lift the building up and make it cantilever out from the slopes. So this is to avoid major alteration to the slope. And with this nature consideration, it kind of helps us to save the cost, save the energy cost, and also save the maintenance cost. So it kind of go hand in hand together. We hope that with this example of how nature and economy responsive factor can produce something that can be out of the norm and help to set a new prototype on how we can build residential units on the slope area, actually in the city area. So this is some of the example whereby all these factors come into place and helping each other and hand in hand in solving the site problem.
Often the Pasir Gudang project form is described as resembling as a machine in motion. So what was the initial spark behind this metaphor, and how did you translate that conceptual energy into the architecture elements that perform functionality?
Well, for this particular project, normally when we design an office building for the factory, we usually start off by looking at the client corporate culture and how the whole office system works. In this case, the client is a key player in manufacturing stainless steel parts for machines and equipments. They are supported by very dynamic and also very dynamic and innovative team. We take some cue from this and we envisage the whole office building as a very ever active machines leading the manufacturing plant behind it, and on daily basis keep on producing parts that make the others machines and equipment in the market running. So in order to express that, we try to break away from the static, symmetrical, box-shaped design or almost cathedral-like front office design for plants behind it. This is pretty much the go-to approach in Malaysia and all over the world. So in this case, we try to make it with the design that breaking the norm and It's almost like a future-facing architecture. We hope we can set a new example of how we can set a factory-oriented office building aerodynamic. So we make the office building with a lot of line and shape and expression in aerodynamic form. The whole building is kind of asymmetrical, irregular, and we went with a porch, the front porch that spread like a wing. And at the ground floor, we try to make it lightweight. And we have extensive glass that cover the ground floor, clad on the ground floor area, to make the whole building kind of lifted on the ground, and it looks like it is moving. So with all these strategies, we achieve that kind of visual aerodynamicness of the buildings.
So can you tell us about the movement and with the project where the spin or the reinterpretation of the social or the cultural norm led to a surprising and a meaningful solution?
In this, if you may, let me refer you to an example of a project that we have done in Ipoh town, Perak, which is in the northern part of Malaysia. It is a residential development which is called the Gulf Residency. It consists of terrace houses development and semi-detached house development. So basically in Malaysia, in terms of a modern contemporary housing layout, we normally have a row of houses with a typical road fronting the buildings, and each individual unit is walled up with a fencing. At the back, you have a back lane. There's a problem with this design because this type of typology, every house is facing the front, leaving the back lane to become a negative space. It almost become a crime-prone areas. Everybody have their own fencing, have their wall up at their each individual unit. So it discourages people to socializing, to communicating with each other. But if we will look at our traditional villages in the so-called Kampung area. Kampung means those villages in outskirts of Malaysian urban area. It's totally opposite. People staying in villages are in close-knit communities. So they say hi to each other every morning, and they can walk into your front yard and have a chit-chat with you. Whenever there's one family having a feast at the front yard, everybody is invited. So we want to have this type of environment in the modern housing layout in our design. We call this process, which is called traditional cultural spinning, whereby we try to spin or reinterpret the traditional social culture essence in those villages into a modern housing layout. By small tweak, we turn the back lane for the modern housing area into an area which we call green streets, basically to turn the back lane from negative space into a social recreational space in this particular project. Along the way, we add extensive landscape to these green streets. Suddenly, the houses can have a second frontage that facing the back lane. And people can just pull their tables and chairs to the back lane, the landscape area, and have a chit-chat, and even have a BBQ to invite them to join in. Basically, you empower the residents to own the semi-private space behind them and let them have more social activities among the neighbors. And we even put rock as a seat along the back lane so that people can sit on it and chit-chat with their neighbors over the backyard fencing. We try to shy away from doing these man-made street furnitures, so we make it almost like the atmosphere in the villages, whereby you take whatever available at the surrounding nature and make it as a street furniture for your usage outside from your building compound. And we have all these green streets being interlinked with each other from one block to the another blocks. So basically, if you stroll along these blocks, the back lane of these blocks, you can stroll from one block to another block, and you complete the whole network of these green streets, and people can just walk along the walkway and jog along the walkway and say hi with each other and making new friends from another blocks. So with this active social activity that been carried out along the network of these green streets, it helps to reduce crime. Basically, it's not a negative space anymore. We're also aware that a lot of these villages in Malaysia, they have this close proximity to the rivers and to the lakes. So as a source of recreational activities. So in this particular project, we also have the lake and water features just to complete the whole Kampung vibes. So it is a comprehensive spinning of this social culture environment from the villages to the modern housing in Malaysia.
Portfolio and the different type of iconic projects that you have done so far. So I wanted to ask, how do you navigate client expectations between the efficient use of space and also creating an iconic and a very different kind of a design for them as an architect yourself?
Basically, we believe good design should not only has aesthetic value. We normally marry with other practical functions and also with some nature responsive elements, and we also try to have some norm-breaking elements. For maybe we can give you an example, this Pasir Gudang Office building project. In this particular project, we loaded these nature, culture, and future responsive elements in quite a number of features that appear in these buildings. Basically, we try to give more architecture value than they ask for, so that we can show to them actually we can bring more to the table in terms of technology, in terms of nature responsive design. For example, the so-called aerodynamic slanting glass section, it may look not practical at all, just to achieve that kind of aerodynamic design. But we strategically place all the breakout spaces, the pantries, the lounge area at those irregular shaped areas. So because these particular areas doesn't need any stringent office configurations, and you need a more casual environment, so we kind of blend these two together. But also we are quite mindful of those slanting glasses that with the angle that facing directly to the sun. That at the area we also place a lot of sun shading devices to make sure we mitigate the heat and glare. And at the ground floor area, in order to make it look floating, so we cover it all with glass, and with that we get the natural lighting flooding the cafe and also the lobby at the ground floor. But because of the heat and glare, we use low E glass so that we can mitigate the issue of heat and glare. So we have all these problem and solution, and finally we achieve a net success for whatever we want to express through the architecture in a building. And also one more thing is the spread like a wing type of design to the porch area. Actually, although it looks like a wing, but actually it will help extensively to prevent driving rain from coming to the main entrance and flood the main lobby. So actually, there's a reason behind it. And because of this extensive porch, the front lobby become darker. So we add in a few strips of glasses, we call this skylight, onto the porch roof, and accidentally surprisingly become wings look, because it looks like feathers on a wing. So there's a lot of accidental design, and all these blend together, and we try to make it aesthetically pleasing, and also at the same time have many practical usage, have many environmental responsive elements in it.
Tan, if I'm talking about the other project, that is the concrete cloud. So the concept is both poetic and a very technically driven concept. So what inspired you to envision architecture as a cloud, and how did you translate that metaphor into something both structural and functional?
Well, this building is on a site which is sandwiched between a townhouses development and a lake and also a valley. So the site constantly receives breeze from the lower part of the valley, and the breeze will go through the lake and go through the site and reach the townhouses area. So if you build anything bulky and massive over the site, it will definitely block the breeze and the wind from the valley towards the townhouses area. Basically, it will definitely generate heat island effect in those residential units. So with that, we have no choice, have to figure out how we're going to have this so-called breaking the norm moment, having the building being lifted up And with the building lifted up, it can let the breeze go through and reach the townhouses behind it. So we're taking cue from the overcast sky in Malaysia. Having all this cloud floating in Malaysian sky is a norm because we always get this afternoon rain, and you can see the sky suddenly become cloudy. So with the cloudy sky, the sunlight that penetrate through to the ground level will be much more lesser. So with this concrete cloud concept, number one, it helps to let the wind through. Number two, it will help to cast a deep shade toward the space below. Below the massive cloud, we keep it porous and letting the air flow through freely. And further than that, we even add in water elements like the water, the ponds in the water lobby and the waterfall at the children pool and also the swimming pool. Together with the lake nearby, when the breeze go through the building from the valley, it will pick up all those moistures from the water elements one by one. So when the breeze finally reach the building and also the townhouses behind, it become a cooler breeze. So it kind of it's a passive design that really cool down the building naturally. So with this concrete cloud concept, we managed to achieve that. Actually, 70% of the building floor area can be ventilated in this case due to that. We even have a client complain to us that the kids' pool become very chilly during rainy time because of this cooling effect, which is, for me, is a good complaint anyhow.
So Tan, from talking about the same project, the badminton hall's breathable envelope inspired by the Malay traditional timber panels is a beautiful nod to local architecture. So how do you decide when and how do you bring a vernacular inspiration without making it feel nostalgic or superficial?
Well, we don't believe in direct mimicry of vernacular design. Like what I said just now, we normally marry with multiple functions, and we always adopt these 3 steps strategy. Number one, we deconstruct the design or the traditional cultural design that we want to emulate, and we abstract the accents. We try to pick which one works, which one doesn't work, remove those who doesn't work. And from that, we move on to the second step, which is the improvisation. So we improvise with a lot of testing, try to combine it with this and that, and to see how this traditional design can fit into modern architecture. So the so-called improvisation process also involved during the construction stage. Keep on testing, keep on trying until we find the right one, the right usage. Number 3, we can't run away from hybridity. You may need to combine the design with another design, or maybe combine it with a modern design to make it work in modern days. So we adopt the spirit of the design rather than the superficial look of the. So I think that's the way that keep on getting new ideas, keep on challenge us to breaking the norm by adopting some of the traditional design that people neglected or forgotten. So we try to repurpose, reuse it in the modern days. Maybe I can give you an example. I think we go back to just now the badminton hall. This is particular design whereby we completely combine the 3 factors that I mentioned just now: the nature, the traditional culture elements, and also the future facing elements in one wall for the badminton hall. As you know, typical badminton hall design will call for a solid wall with a very high window, because the game requires 0 wind and 0 lighting or glare to disturb the play. We question this norm because we believe there might be other way to do it. So we try to look at the past example, the traditional way of doing things. We come up with these stacking aluminum panels, which is breathable, because in between them there's this small little tiny pits that can let the air in without having air movement inside the hall. Also, the aluminum actually is the cooling material even under the sun. And we also add in some glass panel on top to get some light in. But of course, it's above the playing level so that there won't be any glare shining towards the players. So with that, we can keep it naturally ventilated, naturally lit up by whatever natural environment that we by the natural elements surrounding the buildings, just like traditional Malay houses, whereby the wall is also consists of a stack of timber wooden panels, and each of them have this small little opening to let the air in. This is something that we believe it can set a new example to future badminton hall design. Again, we'll try to look in the future how we can push the boundary and create new prototypes or new typology for this badminton.
So S.Pin Architects is one of the major multidisciplinary studio in Malaysia that is engaging in everything from product design to urban. And how does this layered practice inform or influence your architecture projects at different scales that you do?
Well, we have done street furniture design, sculpture design, counter design, even landscape design, until to urban revitalization projects. We treat this small product design as a design venture for us in terms of creating prototypes, which will eventually implement in larger projects when the opportunity is right. Because along the way we learn the rope, and through a small scale project we can encounter multiple problem in a much more less risky way, and we can whatever we learn we can transport it to the larger scale projects. For example, we are currently constructing a sky garden with organic or parametric shaped gazebo and pavilions inspired by the nature. So when we produce a construction drawing, we try to find a method to simplify it so that the construction method will be easier. The contractor will not get a shock when they have this drawing showing all the parametric design in front of them. And also, we also develop a method to present it in construction drawing so that people are easier to understand, from the contractor to the so-called the craftsmen who are at a workshop need to weld it together, can understand easily from A to Z. So this is something that help us, hopefully will help to inform our future projects. And in terms of this urban design venture, we are currently proposing a conceptual design for urban revitalization projects. During the process of coming up with the concept, we venture into the streets, the different typology of streets, and engage with the locals, interviewing the locals to get their feedback on what they want. What we learned from this venture is that sometimes we need to go to the site with an open mind, without any preconception of what you need to build, what you need to do over there. Because sometimes the engagement with the locals, the interviewing process with the locals, you may get a new ideas. The key word is the need from the locals sometimes precedes the eventual form, the eventual use of the space. So this is something we learn from them. And we also found that actually we can, along the way, with this open mind set in, we actually can go for, again, breaking the norm process, whereby something that we can create is like maybe the urban street can be a living room for the locals, or maybe the urban park can be an outdoor museum. So with this understanding, we hope that when we have the next architectural project come in, we can employ this type of open-mindedness into the design process without any preconceived idea on what we want to achieve, and start to look at the needs of the people, and from that maybe we can spark out some new ideas and some norm-breaking approach.
And if I'm talking about another very poetic concept, that's the skywalking on the slope concept. It's a very poetic response to the site steep topography in the project Skywalker House. So what were the biggest challenges in translating such a lightweight, elevated vision into an actual construction, both structurally and contextually?
Well, challenge number one would be the piling works. Typical piling method doesn't work in this particular site because we want to keep the slope. So with the idea want to keep the slope, it will end up with minimal working space for piling process. So our engineer come up with this idea of having this foundation system, which is called K-zone foundation, which is pretty much an in situ way of doing foundation. Basically, they excavate the piling point and pouring the concrete one by one in very slow process, because it's impossible for us to pull this piling machine or piling rig up to the slopes. So we have to do it one by one. The whole process took 1 year to complete, and it's a very slow process. But we feel that that's the right way or the safest way to do to deal with this particular site. And the challenge number 2 would be the cantilever part of the buildings. We cantilever out the building almost 3.7 meters up from the first point of the columns. With that, there will be a slight movement to the cantilever part. So we found out that that during the construction stage. So we have no choice, have to add in the bracing to reinforce the rigidity of the structure on this particular cantilever site. And for challenges number 3, that will be more towards the social culture of the surrounding area. Contextually, it creates an architecture culture shock to the surrounding residents, because this is during the construction time, because around the area, most people will just go for retaining wall, cut the earth, put your building there to make it stable. We are the first one who go there and just say, we keep the slope, just place the building halfway to the slope and let the building cantilever out. And we even have a freestanding, about almost 3-story freestanding glass lift to access the building. But the so-called architecture culture shock is a good shock, it's a positive shock. We just make people realize that there's an alternative way in dealing with the slope, rather than go for a typical approach by just cutting the earth, building the retaining wall. Also, it's a cost-saving endeavor. So hopefully this particular project will pave a way for the surrounding residents. Whenever they want to build a new building, they can emulate the way that we do it, or maybe other aspect of nature-friendly approach, especially in those steep slope area.
Project, it claims about the Malay and the Straits Chinese vernacular tradition. How did you decide which elements to reinterpret, and how do you avoid cultural fatigue when integrating heritage into a modern home?
We go back to the 3-step strategy that I mentioned just now. We try not to go direct mimicry. Step number 1, deconstruction, basically abstract whatever the accents of the past traditional design and try to take whatever which is workable, remove those are not workable. And the good thing is Malaysia is blessed with a rich, diverse culture, and there's a lot of for us to pick and choose from. Those culture-based design is widely inspired, and also is widely inspired by nature also. So the so-called culture responsive design and also nature responsive design is somehow hand in hand. This is like happened for the past few centuries and past few decades. So the construction process is almost like peeling onion. You peel to the roots and to see which one is practical in modern context. And from that, you improvise it. And then at the end of the day, you may need to hybrid to combine it with other elements. So for example, for this particular project, we have an elevated courtyard, which is inside the building. The courtyard we adapted from a traditional Chinese courtyard in China. As we know, all these courtyard houses is a way of traditional villages to control the internal environment of the building from the harsh weather outside. But here we make a slight tweak because we are in the tropical city. We improvise it with a courtyard that been elongated. The elongated courtyard, which is quite different from those squarish courtyard, is on the high level. So when you're on a high level, you constantly receive wind from the up in the air. And we make it elongated because of this effect, which is called Bernoulli effect. when wind enter a slimmed down courtyard, the wind speed will increase. So with the increased wind speed, it will help to ventilate the internal space of this particular building. It's a natural fan created by wind. So the keyword is making a tweak to the operative words, which is environmental control. As you know, just now the courtyard is a way to control the environment from the external environment. Here we take advantage of the external environment and make it like an added value to our internal courtyard. So all by using the nature. So we are not directly employed the design from the Chinese courtyard concept. The second example, I will refer to these straight Chinese shop houses in Penang. In Penang, which is the northern state of Malaysia, they have these shop houses where they have this ornamented opening 1 meter above the window. So this particular opening in Penang, we call it Hong Kong. Hong Kong means this, if direct translate it, it would be wind pit, a pit hole for the wind to come in. So when you close the window for privacy or at night, ornamented opening, still letting the wind in. So at night, you keep your house cool at night. And then even in the afternoon, you want to close the window for an afternoon nap, the wind still can come in to make the internal part of the building cooler. But if we want to emulate this in a modern setting, it's very difficult because modern building, as you know, we need security. So with this kind of opening, it's not good for security. And the room which are in under air conditioned systems, we cannot allow for opening to leak out the air. So again, we make a tweak to the ideas. In this particular house, the Skywalker House, we open a small opening and we cover it with a grill and we place it at the ceiling space on the wall, on the external wall that facing the ceiling space. With that, we keep the air going into the ceiling space and it helps to ventilate the ceiling and keep the whole building cooler because certain area you can have on the left, the opening, certain area you can have it on the right. So basically the cross ventilation can be happen at the ceiling level. So it helps to cool down the top layer of the room and making and also because ceiling is on the upper part of the room, cool air will go down rather than go up. That will be something that can passively help to cool down the building. Also because we put it at the ceiling space and we put a grill there, so there's no security issue and there's also no worry about the air leak issue.
And moving to the last question for the day. As a practice constantly navigating the intersection of nature, technology, and culture, what's keep you creativity grounded in an industry that's always evolving? And I would like to ask another question to this. What is an advice that you would like to give to Gen Z architects that you see evolving the architecture industry today?
You need to see the forest for the trees. This is something that we always take it for heart. The basic fundamentals will not change. The only changes is those tools or operative tools that help you to achieve those fundamentals. Sometimes those operative tools will overshadow these basic fundamentals. For example, the advent of new technology, AI, to achieve whatever nature responsive design or culture responsive design, all this still boils down to what you want to achieve, what you want to look at, what you want to contribute to the table for this particular building, which is again for us, nature, culture, and future. Once you have that kind of clarity, it will keep you grounded so that we're not distracted by those new technology. As we know, architecture has to respond to nature and has to respond to culture and have to look at the future because the building going to last for 100 over years and at least 100 over years. So these particular rules never change. The only change is the ways or the method that we go to achieve it. For example, the nature responsive design. So you always have a passive method and active method to achieve that. The passive method nowadays we are assisted by software, various software and various ways to collect data. Because last time we don't talk about collecting data, we just talk about observation and record. But now we can accurately collect data and we can accurately, precisely design certain angle of the sun shading panels or certain opening to make sure that we achieve the ultimate optimum nature responsive design. And for the active method, of course, we always have these new mechanical inventions, new mechanical design that can help you to achieve various nature responsive design. So, but the fundamentals come down to you want your building to respond to the nature as much as possible. Hopefully, with the help of technology, we can respond 100%, maybe 200%. This is my wish. We are glad that the technology will make us going faster, going more accurately, going more precisely in this case. And that's why our company motto have this word future in it. We always look for future technology that can help us to achieve our goal. So we're always looking for something that can break the norm. So my advice to the younger generation architect is that don't limit yourself to architecture. Like our studio, we do product design, we do landscape design, and we also do urban design. So all this is a whole. We view it as a whole package, and even graphic design can be part of it. I recently picked up street photography. It helps in terms of urban design because you get to see things that you never pay attention to. With photography, you kind of zoom into the certain thing that may surprise you. Free yourself because the fundamental is there. As long as you respond to the nature, respond to the culture, you respond to the future, it will make you a pretty good architect.
So, Tan, that was the last question for the day. Thank you so much for your insightful answers. Thank you so much for giving your precious time. It was a pleasure to have you here. And don't forget to sign up with the Publish website. Thank you so much, Tan.
Thank you.